up, guys? Today we're going to take a look at Firebase. And Firebase is this real-time database that was recently acquired by Google. I actually have used it in all my applications, and it's great for building this super responsive application. So this is going to be video part 1 of this series, and through this series we'll walk through integration through Firebase and actually using it to put up data into the cloud and manipulating it. So let's get started. Alright guys, here I am back in the Xcode main screen. We're going to create a new Xcode project today, and we're going to use it to kind of go through all the basics of Firebase. And in general, just using a database in applications. So the 4 important concepts that we'll cover, besides just integrating it, is user accounts, user authentication. We're going to learn how to store data in the database. We're going to learn how to retrieve that data, and we're going to learn how to manipulate that data. And something that's nice about Firebase is that everything gets updated in real time. So it really allows you to build cool features like chat rooms and anything that gets updated dynamically. So let's create a new Xcode project. And we'll call ours Firebase example. And what's nice is that I actually haven't built this from the ground up in a while, so I'm going to be doing this fresh with you guys. So Firebase actually does have a how-to guide online, which is nice, but I remember when I first started learning it, I made a couple mistakes that cost me hours debugging, so hopefully I can save you guys some time. So now that we have that, let's first go to CocoaPods. So basically CocoaPods is a dependency manager which will allow us to install the Firebase pod, which is needed to run the application. So if you go to the CocoaPods.org website, you should see something that looks like this. Just scroll down and you should see this install, and you're just going to copy this sudo gem install CocoaPods. Alright, then you're going to go to terminal. And if you guys aren't familiar with terminal or kind of Unix programming, don't worry about it for now. If you guys want, leave me a comment below saying if you guys want like a quick tutorial on basic commands and how to navigate the terminal. But basically, I'm in here, and I'm just going to type in sudo gem install CocoaPods. Alright, I already have it installed, so I'm not going to run this, but if you don't, definitely run this. It's going to ask for your computer password, and just type that in. It won't show up. I know that kind of throws off a lot of beginners. Just type your password as you would normally and press return, and everything should be good. And give that a second to download, and we should be good. Alright, so after that's downloaded, we are now going to go to firebase.com. Alright, and as you see, it's part of Google now. You should see a screen somewhat like this. Maybe if it's your first time, you see something a little bit different. Just sign in with your Google account, and you should see the screen. We're going to go to console right here. All right, let me switch. Yep. Okay. I have a couple of projects on Firebase already, so this screen will look a little bit different than yours. But basically, you're going to click this big Add Project button. All right. So let's click that. We can name it whatever you want. I'm going to keep my name kind of consistent. Name it Firebase example. You see that Firebase assigns it its unique project ID, which you can change. I'm going to go with the default for now. And now it's just creating the project. Cool. Awesome. So once you're at this screen, you'll see like the get started guides. We're going to click on the iOS one. And now you'll see it's asking for your iOS bundle ID. To get that, we just go back to Xcode. And we copy the bundle identifier right here. If you forgot how to get to this page, just click the main project right here. General, and it should be right here. So we're going to copy, we're going to paste that in. App nickname optional, app store ID optional, so we're just going to click register. Cool. And now it's going to say download Google Service Info plist file. This is super important, and this is actually one of the moments where I made a mistake and it cost me hours just to get back. And that mistake was, you won't run into it if this is your first time, but basically if you've used Firebase before and you've downloaded more than one Google Service Info.plist file, what ends up happening is it downloads a file that's not called that. It's called, I'm gonna pull it up. It's called, yeah, it has a number attached to it. That will make the app not work. All right, so you want to be super careful, and you need to rename that file back to Google Service Info.plist. All right, so I'm just gonna drag this into my Firebase example. All right, so just something like that, and then I'm gonna name it Google Service Info.plist. And if you just read the instructions right here, we need to drag it to our actual project. So I'm just gonna go to Xcode and drag that right in there. All right. Make sure you drag the Google Info.plist file into this Firebase example directory. Super important. All right, so let's continue. All right, so now we are actually going to use CocoaPods, which hopefully has installed by now. So again, we're going to use terminal, but first we need to create a pod file. And basically a pod file is this code that tells the dependency manager what dependencies we want to install. And there's a very specific way to go about creating a pod file, which I will show you guys right now. So this is my big mistake number 2. When you do this, make sure you have the main project highlighted. All right. I can't tell you how many times I've accidentally created a pod file inside this Firebase example directory, and that just messes everything up. So make sure you have the main project highlighted. We're going to right click that and say new file. All right. Scroll all the way down to this empty file right here. Click next, and we're going to name it pod file. It's super important that you name it exactly this, or else it won't work. All right, cool, create, and then we have this empty page. We're going to say target, name of our project, do, use frameworks, and then we're going to say what pods you want to install. If we go back to Firebase, it looks like we need to add pod Firebase /core. So I'm going to just copy that. Paste that right in, and then add end. All right. Make sure you command save. And now we're going to go back into terminal. We're going to navigate to our project directory. Oh, geez, where did I save this? Documents. Sorry, so 1 second. Cool. So if I do a quick ls, you should see this pod file show up. All right, that's when you know you followed all the steps like correctly, and you should be good to move on to the next step. If you don't see this pod file, go back, rewind, and make sure you followed each step perfectly. So now that we're here, we're gonna say pod install and hope that everything works. If this is your first time, it might take a while, but you should see this success screen, and that's when you know everything is completely working. We'll see pod installation complete, and then there's one dependency, which is this Firebase /core that we just typed in, and then it says please close any current Xcode sessions and use Firebase.xc workspace. So we're gonna exit out of this, go back to our directory, project directory, and now you'll see that this XC workspace has shown up. So we're going to use that from now on. So whenever you install pods, you're going to use an XC workspace. So we're just going to double click that. It's going to look pretty familiar, except now that we have this pods section right here. But everything else is the same. And that should be good in terms of integration. To make sure, to just completely make sure that we're good, I'm going to quickly run this and see if we get any kind of response from Firebase. Oh, I'm so sorry. I forgot. I can't believe I forgot this part. All right. Missing one step. We need to go to our app delegate and add these 2 lines of code. So we're going to go to Xcode. We can go to the app delegate.swift. We're going to import Firebase up here. Cool. And then inside, did finish launching with options. We're going to add Firebase app.configure. Cool. And now we should be done. Yeah. So what's nice is that Firebase has analytics built in, so when you do publish your applications, you'll be able to see your daily, monthly active users. They also have a bunch of other analytics that's cool, and feel free to explore. They have a lot of cool features and options provided by Firebase. But going back to our project, just to make sure we got the integration down, let's run this real quick, and we should see some sort of response message from Firebase that we are connected. So obviously we're just going to see a blank screen, but I am hoping for... Nice. So you should see these Firebase print statements. And if you see these, you know you're good to go. So that should be good for the first video in this series. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Again, always make sure you subscribe, and let me know what I should cover next. Thanks, guys, and keep coding.